Hey there, hello there, it's Jeff, Cutter Historical Diamond, with yet another Degrassi video, and this time it is the top 5 things Rick should have done differently to avoid his fate. Now, of course, I don't want to bore you with details about Rick's storyline, and of course you can see it in the playlist, Degrassiisms, and, no, Degrassi shooting and other Degrassiisms. Like, I went through the plot lines and all that. But anyway, so today I'm talking about the 5 things Rick should have done differently that would have changed things. This is actually in no particular order. I couldn't actually rank them. So here we go. First one is Rick should have changed schools. Simple enough. When Rick actually had been taken out of school by his parents fearing retribution for what he did to Terry, Rick should have had the bright idea to think that Degrassi doesn't want him back. Degrassi probably wants him to pay for what he did to Terry and all that, because Terry was a beloved character and a beloved person at Degrassi School. So basically, if Rick had actually done the right thing and went back and didn't go back to school at Degrassi, probably went to Lakehurst, the closest one nearby, I think, then basically he would have just been out of the picture and there wouldn't have been any plots for revenge. I don't think Spinner and them would have plotted revenge on Rick because they knew that Rick would took the hint. So by him not changing schools, he was going to have to face the lion's den. He did pretty well. I bet the students did, in fact, overreact at times, but, what could he have done? Also is another one. The second one is not going after Emma / apologizing and getting better. Now it's simple. The storyline told us that Rick basically did not learn from his mistake and get help or treatment. He probably did get treatment, but it was never seen, or the students didn't believe him. Emma saved the day in Rick's mind by protecting him from Alex and Jay's beatings. Unfortunately, Rick takes it as nice guy logic, thinking that Emma was doing the nice thing to protect Rick and that she had a crush on Rick and all that, even though Emma knew about Rick's past. But Emma said to Rick that she only did it because she knew that it was going against the cause. And she also tells Rick that she did it out of pity, and also tries to get Rick to change schools, but Rick says he doesn't want to change schools, and he'll try to prove to everyone that he has changed. Unfortunately, the problem with Emma is that she was basically right for the picking, because she didn't have a relationship with a boy. After all, she and Chris split during the summer, and she didn't have any friends. Well, Liberty and Manny refused anything to do with her because of what she did to Chris, and Paige's Play avoided her because of her backstabbing them. It is worth noting that, Paige's group could have gotten revenge on Emma, but they also knew that they would be against the cause, being hypocritical. So Emma only had her only friends were the Wacky Brain team of Heather St. Clair, Toby, and Rick. And of course, Heather St. Clair got replaced by Jimmy because Heather contracted mono. Basically, if Emma had more friends and all that, then she probably would not have. She would have been protected from Rick. Unfortunately, Rick saw this chance to get closer to her to whack your brain and making weird advances towards her and then kissing her after being painted feather. And Emma snaps at him, rightfully so. I mean, if he stayed away from Emma, or if Emma had managed to get Rick tossed for the Wacky Brain team, if she had any great ideas, then his relationship with Emma would not have happened. Unfortunately, he proved to everyone that he didn't change at all. That pisses everyone off. Next is Rick should have told the parents should have told his parents and should have told the administration in a better tone. Now, as we probably gather from the storyline, Rick's relationship with his mom was kind of creepy, but that's my opinion. IMO, of course. And his dad was a traveling salesman who wasn't there at all. It was unseen and unheard. But anyway, Rick basically convinced his parents that he wanted to go to Degrassi and hopefully get an education and all that. In Time Stands Still's part 1, when Rick is getting fitted for his suit for the Wacky Brain team, he talks about how he and Toby are going to run the school when they win this competition. And Rick's mom said that, and to think I wanted you to change schools. And he's like, Mom, you worry too much. Now, basically, the problem there was that Rick's mom basically might have begged him to go to a different school, thinking that he was going to get hurt in Degrassi. But Rick, of course, being macho and all that, says that I have to go in the lion's den to prove my worth. And, of course, we know Rick has not told his parents anything about the bullying and all that. It might be minor bullying, but beating the crap out of him after the Orange Ribbon campaign, throwing the chapeau in the thing and all that, I think Rick would have probably should have told his parents, and then his parents probably would have got something done about it. His parents never got the hint that Rick actually kept secrets from them. I think someone told them the truth and all that. School board probably said something. But anyway, and there's the problem with telling the administration. I mean, Simpson might have had an inkling about Rick being bullied and all that crap. If you look at the gym scene in Time Stands Still Part 1, when Toby comes to the Wacky Brain practice, but he has a split lip thanks to Jay and Spinner, who want Rick because of the spray paint incident. He looks at him, and then he walks away from the room. And that's when Rick says that, basically, I'm getting hurt, and Toby's getting hurt. We both don't deserve it, and gets Jimmy on their side. And then, of course, when Jimmy makes fun of Rick and all that, but Snake stops him and asks Jimmy about sports and all that, saying that we need a fourth on the Wacky Brain because of Hannah St. Clair's mono. Rick was worried. He talks to Emma. Emma says, why don't you go to Simpson? And Rick's like, I can't do that. That would be wrong. So he decides to go to Raditch, thinking that he has Raditch's confidence because, Raditch was protecting him. Unfortunately, he said Jimmy, but he did not say he was bullying him and all that. He just said that Jimmy just wouldn't be my friend. And Raditch took it as he wants to make friends. And he basically says, come on, you have to do better to make friends. And besides, come to me when something major happens. Unfortunately, he doesn't tell the administration well. I mean, Raditch does actually believe him now after the paint and feathers thing, and tries to put a kibosh to everything. But the shooting happens, and Snake lashes at Raditch, basically that Raditch should have at least took Rick a bit more seriously, so that at least look into it. So anyway, yeah. Rick wasn't straightforward, and that's what cost him dearly, because I think the bullying would finally have stopped. Also, thing number four Rick should never have done was retaliation or gun. He should never have retaliated against Spinner and his crew. I mean, yeah, he got bullied to the point of submission, but, I mean, the problem is that when he did the spray paint, basically he just ticked Spinner and Jay and Alex more. It was pretty obvious after Jimmy switched sides that it was just those three, Spinner, Jay, and Alex, who wanted to destroy Rick, whereas it was other people like Paige and Jimmy, but they stopped. Unfortunately, Rick also made the big blunder of giving the Wakanda Forever signal in front of Spinner and Jay, which pissed them off even more, and saying that we have to up it a level. And that's when the paint and feathers happened and all of that. Of course, Rick was paint and feathered, told to go home, like take the rest of the day off. He should have used that time to stay home and just relax and just think over what to happen on the weekend. Maybe he'll think about shooting somebody on the weekend. But his instinct was to take the gun from his father's desk, either to kill himself or to kill other people. Unfortunately, it was the latter option. Also to note that his parents screwed up by not being there for him. I mean, his mom was working, his dad was working. So if someone was there for Rick, he probably would have thought twice. He probably would have calmed him down and then talked to the school about it. But the school was trying to fix the situation and almost did it perfectly. But he took a gun. He was ready to shoot Paige because Paige put the bug in everyone's ear about him being terrible. But Paige admits that she was stupefied by this prank. And then basically Rick realizes his mistake. He goes to the bathroom. And then after what happens in the bathroom, he then shoots Jimmy. And that leads us to number 5 is the biggest thing he should not have done was listen to Spinner and Jay. Now, Spinner and Jay obviously were in all the way to destroy Rick and get him out of Jurassic once and for all. And of course, after being spray painted and basically Rick putting the Wakanda Forever signal and also taking Jimmy away from them. I mean, you could argue all you want, but I think Spinner and Jay were pissed off that Jimmy switched sides and all that. But anyway, so when the tiebreaker happens, like the final round, I think it would have happened no matter what. They talked to Rick and said that, you saved the school with your smarts and all that. How did you do it? And Rick says, well, I read a lot. Of course I have to read a lot. Unfortunately for Rick, he ends up believing Spinner and Jay was saying everything is cool. And then they made sure to avoid Rick and out of earshot, basically say the prank is on as planned. Well, that wasn't the first time. He should have just avoided Spinner and Jay. Second time was in the bathroom, of course, when Rick was cleaning up and all of that. I mean, Rick hid in the thing. I don't know why he hid in the stall. If he saw Spinner and Jay and heard about Spinner and Jay, he probably would have just destroyed them. But anyway, that's not what I'm here for. Basically, Spinner, yeah, like if Rick actually learned that Spinner and Jay were trying to pin attention away from themselves, he probably would have taken the gun and shot those two guys out of fear. Anyway, Spinner and Jay, basically pin everything on Jimmy being the inside man and all that. And, they knew that. And Rick knew that Jimmy was on the other side, if you will. But it was mostly two-pronged to blame Jimmy. A was because, in my mind, they were mad at Jimmy for switching sides and wanted to destroy him. And also, B is that Spinner made the dumb decision by announcing to Jimmy that he did the prank and all that. If Spinner was smart and kept his mouth shut, Jimmy would never have known, and practically they would not have probably blamed Jimmy for anything, or tried to. So anyway, if he hadn't listened to Spinner and Jay, he wouldn't have gone after Jimmy. He might have still went after Emma, and who knows, with the gun, you never know. But I think Spinner probably would have taken Spinner and Jay out, and that would have been a massive calamity in itself. So that's all I've got for this video of what Rick should have done differently. Stay tuned, because the next 2 days, to wrap up this week of 6 months later, what I've talked about, we'll be talking about aftermaths, where the characters bit by bit, and also we'll talk about the season 4 plot lines and how some plot lines were actually pushed to the backside because it's all season 4 is remembered for the shooting and not for these plot lines. I'll talk about them more in detail. So join me this weekend.